Commander Zarthak lounged in his command chair aboard the flagship Times Dominion's Pride **. His forearms crossed in amusement as he watched the holographic display. The massive view screen showed Earth, that small blue marble that had somehow managed to join the Galactic Federation despite its primitive technology. "Tell me again about these snipers," Zarthak said, his mandibles clicking with laughter. The other officers on the bridge joined in, their various alien anatomies producing a symphony of mocking sounds. Sub-Commander Velix, a serpentine creature with scales that shimmered like oil, slithered forward. "The humans claim their snipers can eliminate targets from over 2,000 meters away. Commander. With primitive projectile weapons. No less." The bridge erupted in laughter again. 2,000 meters? The Galactic Command's plasma rifles could vaporize targets from orbit. Their energy shields could deflect any projectile. Their combat drones could engage enemies from continents away. 2,000 meters, Zarthak repeated, wiping tears from his 6 eyes. "Next they'll tell us they still use chemical propulsion for their spacecraft." "They do, sir," Velix confirmed, causing another round of laughter. The Galactic Command had accepted Earth into the Federation out of pity, really. The humans had barely managed to colonize their own moon, while other species commanded fleets that spanned star systems. But the Federation charter was clear. Any species that achieved spaceflight must be offered membership. "Have you seen their military demonstrations?" asked Tactical Officer Krex, a heavily armored insectoid. "They still train soldiers to hide in vegetation. They paint their faces with pigments. They crawl through mud." "Mud!" Zarthak exclaimed. "While we command armies of nanobots and orbital bombardment platforms, they play in mud." The mockery had become a favorite pastime among the Galactic Command. Earth's military, with its focus on individual marksmen, stealth operations, and guerrilla tactics, seemed laughably outdated. Why train a soldier to hide when you could simply glass an entire continent from space? Why perfect accuracy with a rifle when you could deploy swarms of homing missiles? But Earth paid its Federation dues, contributed what little technology it could, and generally kept quiet during council meetings. They were like children at the adults' table, and the Galactic Command treated them as such. "Sir, communications," Officer Thrix interrupted, her tentacles dancing over her console. "We're receiving reports of pirate activity in the Kepler sector. 3 Federation cargo vessels have gone missing." Zarthak waved a dismissive hand. "Send a patrol drone squadron. That should be more than enough." "Sir, Earth's representative is requesting permission to assist," Thrix continued. "They say they have a specialist who could help." The bridge fell silent for a moment, before exploding in laughter once more. "A specialist," Krex chittered. "What will they send? Someone to throw rocks at the pirates?" "Tell Earth we appreciate their offer," Zarthak said, struggling to maintain his composure. "But this is a job for real military forces. Perhaps they can help by, I don't know, documenting the operation for their primitive news networks." The message was sent, and the bridge crew returned to their duties, still chuckling at Earth's presumption. They didn't notice the encrypted data packet that piggybacked on Earth's transmission. They didn't detect the small, stealth-equipped human vessel that had been shadowing their fleet for weeks. And they certainly didn't know about Ghost Legionnaire Marcus Chen, who was already en route to the Kepler sector. Chen sat in the cramped cockpit of his modified reconnaissance vessel, reviewing the intelligence. The pirates weren't just random criminals. They were organized, well-equipped, and targeting specific cargo. Someone was funding them, someone with access to Galactic Command shipping manifests. He checked his equipment one more time. The rifle, broken down in its case, was a masterpiece of human engineering. While the galaxy had moved on to energy weapons, humans had perfected the art of kinetic projectiles. The rifle could fire a variety of rounds, armor-piercing, explosive, EMP. But it was the special rounds, the ones developed in secret Earth facilities, that would make the difference. The Galactic Command thought Earth snipers were obsolete because they measured warfare in terms of raw firepower and technology. They didn't understand that sometimes one well-placed shot could change everything. They didn't comprehend the psychological impact of an enemy you never saw, never heard, who could reach out from impossible distances and eliminate you with surgical precision. Chen had been recruited into the Ghost Legionnaire program at age 18. For 15 years, he had trained in every environment Earth could offer. From Arctic tundra to scorching deserts. From underwater facilities to orbital platforms. He had learned to shoot in zero gravity, in extreme pressure, in environments that would kill unprotected humans in seconds. But more than that, he had learned patience. Galactic command officers, used to overwhelming firepower and quick victories, had no concept of waiting days for the perfect shot. They didn't understand how a sniper could influence an entire battle by eliminating key targets, sowing confusion and fear. As his ship approached the Kepler sector, Chen received an update from Earth Command. The official channels showed polite gratitude for the Galactic Command's handling of the situation. The encrypted channels told a different story. 3 cargo vessels missing, all carrying rare minerals essential for shield generator production. Inside source confirms Galactic Command involvement. Well, someone was selling information to the pirates. Earth suspected corruption at the highest levels but had no proof. Chen's mission was simple: eliminate the pirate leadership and gather evidence of the conspiracy. But he had a secondary objective, one that Earth's military leadership had discussed in hushed tones. It was time to show the galaxy what human snipers could really do. The mockery had gone on long enough. Every dismissive laugh, every condescending comment about Earth's primitive military had been catalogued and remembered. Humans might be new to the galactic stage, but they had spent millennia perfecting the art of war on their own world. They understood something the advanced species had forgotten in their reliance on technology. Warfare was ultimately about people, and people could be broken by fear as easily as by firepower. Chen's ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler sector, immediately activating its stealth systems. The technology was a hybrid of human ingenuity and what little alien tech Earth had been able to acquire and improve upon. It wasn't as advanced as Galactic Command stealth systems, but it didn't need to be. It just needed to be different enough that standard sensors wouldn't recognize it. On his tactical display, Chen could see the Galactic Command patrol drones arriving in the sector. 6 of them, each worth more than Earth's entire defense budget. They swept the area with active sensors, broadcasting their presence like beacons. No subtlety, no strategy, just overwhelming technological superiority. Chen shook his head. They still didn't understand. The pirates wouldn't engage the drones directly. They'd wait, hidden in the asteroid fields or disguised as debris, until the drones moved on. Then they'd strike again. But Chen wasn't interested in the pirates. Not yet. First, he needed to position himself. The Ghost Legionnaire program had taught him that the first rule of sniping was simple. Be where they don't expect you. See what they can't see. Strike when they feel safe. He maneuvered his ship into the shadow of a large asteroid, one with a high metal content that would mask his heat signature. From here, he could observe the entire sector while remaining invisible. He deployed a small cloud of microsatellites, each no bigger than a grain of sand, to extend his sensor range. Then he waited. 3 days passed. The Galactic Command drones completed their sweep and reported the sector clear. Zarthak, receiving the report, scoffed at Earth's continued offers of assistance. They still want to send their specialist, he told his bridge crew. Perhaps we should let them, just for entertainment value. We could take wagers on how long their primitive soldier survives. But Chen was already there, watching, learning. He observed the patterns of commercial traffic, noted which routes the pirates avoided, identified potential hiding spots, and slowly, a picture emerged. The pirates were using an abandoned mining station as their base, hidden in the dense asteroid field of Kepler 442. But more interesting were the coded transmissions he intercepted between the station and a Galactic Command cruiser that periodically patrolled the outer edge of the sector. Evidence of the conspiracy. But Chen needed more. He needed to know who was involved, how deep the corruption went. And he needed to send a message that would reverberate through the Galactic Command. As the 4th day dawned, Chen finally moved. His ship crept through the asteroid field with agonizing slowness, using the rocks themselves as cover. The pirates had sensors, but they were looking for the energy signatures of modern vessels, not the minimal heat of Chen's craft. He found his perch, an asteroid with a perfect view of the mining station's main hangar. The range was 8,000 meters. By galactic standards, impossibly far for a precision strike. By human sniper standards, challenging but achievable. Chen began assembling his rifle, each piece clicking into place with practiced ease. The weapon was a work of art. A 2-meter-long barrel of specially forged alloys. A scope that combined human optics with adapted alien targeting technology, and a firing mechanism that could accelerate a projectile to velocities that shouldn't be possible with chemical propulsion. But it was the ammunition that made it truly special. Earth's scientists had developed rounds that could penetrate any known shield technology, not by overpowering them but by exploiting the harmonic frequencies that all energy shields operated on. One shot could disrupt a shield long enough for a second shot to find its mark. Through his scope, Chen watched the pirates going about their business. He counted 30 of them. Various species. All heavily armed. But he wasn't interested in the foot soldiers. He was waiting for the leadership. His patience was rewarded on the 5th day. A sleek yacht arrived at the station. Its design clearly Galactic command. Through his scope, Chen watched as 3 figures emerged. 2 pirates he recognized from intelligence reports as the organization's leaders, and a Galactic command officer whose uniform bore the insignia of a Supply Corps colonel. Chen smiled grimly. The Supply Corps, of course. Who better to provide shipping schedules and cargo manifests? He activated his rifle's recording system, capturing every detail of the meeting, but he needed audio, needed concrete evidence. That's when he noticed the station's communication array. A single, well-placed shot could force them to switch to backup systems. Systems that used older, less secure frequencies that Chen could intercept. The first shot would announce his presence. After that, he'd have minutes at most before they traced his position. But minutes were all he needed. Chen controlled his breathing, feeling the familiar calm settle over him. 8,000 meters. Moderate stellar wind from the local star. Minimal gravity from the asteroid. Target moving predictably along the gangway. He squeezed the trigger. The communication array exploded in a shower of sparks and debris. For a moment, the pirates and the corrupt colonel stood frozen, unable to comprehend what had happened. Energy weapons left distinct signatures: plasma burns, laser scorches, particle beam residue. But this was different. This was kinetic damage. Precise and devastating. "We're under attack," one of the pirate leaders screamed, diving for cover. The others scattered, their confident meeting turning into chaos in seconds. The colonel fumbled for his sidearm, his 6 eyes darting around wildly, searching for an enemy that wasn't there. Chen was already lining up his second shot. Through his scope, he watched the pirates activate their personal shields. The shimmering energy fields that should have made them invulnerable to projectile weapons. They didn't know about Earth's special ammunition. The second pirate leader was trying to reach his ship, barking orders into a handheld communicator. Chen tracked him smoothly, calculating distance, movement, stellar wind. The crosshairs settled on the center of the shield, right over the pirate's chest. He fired. The round hit the shield and seemed to stick for a fraction of a second. Then the shield flickered. Harmonics disrupted and collapsed. Before the pirate could react, Chen's follow-up shot took him center mass. The alien crumpled, green blood pooling beneath him. Panic erupted on the station. Pirates ran in all directions, some seeking cover, others rushing for weapons. The colonel had made it back to his yacht and was screaming at the pilot to take off. Chen let him go. He had the evidence he needed, and a panicked officer would do more damage to the conspiracy than a dead one. Instead, he focused on the remaining pirate leader, who had taken cover behind a cargo container and was trying to organize a defense. The alien was smart, keeping his head down, only popping up briefly to shout orders. But Chen had studied thousands of hours of combat footage from dozens of species. He knew their habits, their instincts. The pirate leader was Krillian, a reptilian species known for their quick reflexes but also for their predictable movement patterns when under stress. Every 12 seconds, the alien would shift position slightly, a subconscious behavior related to their hunting instincts. Chen counted. 10, 11, 12. The pirate shifted, exposing his shoulder for just a moment. Chen fired. The shield disruptor round hit perfectly, followed immediately by an armor-piercing explosive. The pirate leader's shoulder disappeared in a spray of orange blood and bone fragments. 3 shots, 3 hits, 3 targets down or fleeing, and still, none of them knew where the attack was coming from. The pirates had switched to their backup communication system, just as Chen had planned. His ship's sensors intercepted the panicked transmissions. Where are they? Where are the plasma signatures? Scanners show nothing. No energy weapons. It's kinetic. Someone's using kinetic weapons. From where? Where? And then, cutting through the chaos, the colonel's terrified voice. It's the humans. It has to be. They're the only ones who still use projectiles. Get me out of here. Chen smiled coldly. The message was being sent, but he wasn't done yet. As the yacht lifted off, he turned his attention to the pirates' ships. 3 Corsair-class vessels, armed with plasma cannons and missile pods. In a straight fight, any one of them could destroy Chen's small craft. But this wasn't going to be a straight fight. The ships were powering up, crews rushing aboard. Chen selected a new type of ammunition, EMP rounds, designed to overload electrical systems. The shots would need to be precise, targeting specific vulnerable points in the ship's shielding. The first ship's engines flared to life. Chen put a round directly into the exhaust port. The EMP pulse cascaded through the ship's systems, and the engines died instantly. The ship dropped back to the landing pad with a grinding crash. The second ship was smarter, raising shields before attempting to launch. But shields designed to stop energy weapons had gaps, tiny spaces where different shield generators overlapped. Chen had studied these gaps, measured them, calculated their positions on every major ship class. His shot threaded through a gap less than 10 centimeters wide, striking the shield generator itself. The shields collapsed, and his next shot disabled the engines. The third ship made it off the platform, accelerating hard toward open space. Chen tracked it carefully. At this range, hitting a moving target required not just skill, but an almost supernatural ability to predict movement. The Ghost Legionnaire program had spent years developing this skill, using advanced VR simulations and neural conditioning. Chen didn't aim where the ship was. He aimed where it would be. His fingers squeezed the trigger, and the round left the barrel at velocities that turned the projectile into a streak of superheated metal. 4 seconds later, the ship's main thruster exploded. The vessel spiraled out of control, slamming into an asteroid in a ball of flame. The entire engagement had lasted less than 3 minutes. In that time, Chen had eliminated the pirate leadership, disabled their fleet, and sent a message that would reach the highest levels of the Galactic Command. But he wasn't finished. His sensors detected multiple hyperspace signatures incoming. Galactic Command reinforcements responding to the Colonel's panicked distress call. Perfect. Chen wanted an audience for his next demonstration. He loaded a special round, one that Earth scientists had codenamed Spectre. It was designed not to kill, but to mark, leaving a distinctive energy signature that could be tracked across vast distances. More importantly, it could penetrate any known shielding technology and leave its mark directly on the target. 6 Galactic Command cruisers dropped out of hyperspace. Weapons hot, sensors sweeping the area. They found the destroyed pirate base, the disabled ships, the bodies. But they couldn't find the attacker. This is Commander Vorix, of the Galactic Command, a voice broadcast across all frequencies. Unidentified attacker, you are ordered to surrender immediately. You have committed acts of war against the Galactic Federation. Chen almost laughed. Acts of war? He had eliminated pirates and exposed a corrupt officer. But he understood the real issue. He had done it in a way that made their vaunted technology look useless. Through his scope, he studied the lead cruiser. Commander Vorix would be on the bridge, probably standing at the command station. shield generators at full power, feeling invincible behind meters of armor and overlapping energy fields. Chen made a minute adjustment to his aim, accounting for the cruiser's movement, the gravitational effects of nearby asteroids, the stellar wind that would affect the round during its 8,000-meter journey. He fired. On the bridge of the cruiser, alarms suddenly screamed. Shield integrity remained at 100%. Armor showed no damage. But somehow, impossibly, there was an energy signature on the commander's uniform. A small mark, glowing faintly, right over his heart. Vorix looked down in shock. The mark was clearly visible, even through his personal shield. If this had been a killing shot, "Sir," his tactical officer whispered, "how did it get through our shields?" Vorix had no answer. Neither did the engineers who would later examine the mark, finding molecular-level penetration that should have been impossible. The round had phased through shields, armor, and clothing without damaging any of them, leaving only its mark as proof of what could have been. Chen's ship was already moving, slipping away through the asteroid field as the Galactic Command forces scrambled to locate him. He transmitted one message before disappearing into the void. Ghost Legionnaire to Galactic Command. Pirate threat neutralized. Colonel Thraxus of your supply corps is complicit in the conspiracy. Check his communication logs. Earth's assistance is no longer offered freely. Our primitive snipers send their regards. The aftermath was immediate and spectacular. Commander Vorix's report sent shockwaves through the Galactic Command hierarchy. A single human soldier had eliminated a pirate base that patrol drones had failed to locate. He had done it with projectile weapons from distances they had thought impossible. Most terrifyingly, he had demonstrated the ability to bypass their most advanced defenses. On the flagship Times Dominion's Pride *, Commander Zarthak read the report in stunned silence. His bridge crew, who days before had been laughing at Earth's primitive snipers, now exchanged nervous glances. 8,000 meters, Zarthak muttered. How is that possible? Sir, Velik said carefully. Perhaps we should reassess our evaluation of human military capabilities. But the true impact was psychological. Every Galactic Command officer who heard about the incident couldn't help but wonder. If a human sniper could mark Commander Vorix through all his defenses, what else could they do? How many more Ghost Legionnaires were out there, watching from impossible distances, waiting for the perfect shot? The corruption investigation that followed was thorough and damaging. Colonel Thraxus, in his panic, implicated dozens of others. The pirate network, deprived of inside information and leadership, collapsed within weeks. But these victories were overshadowed by a new, uncomfortable reality. The galaxy had spent so long advancing toward energy weapons, shields, and massive firepower that they had forgotten the elegant simplicity of kinetic weapons in the hands of a master. They had built defenses against lasers and plasma, not against hypervelocity projectiles designed by a species that had spent centuries perfecting the art of reaching out and touching someone from very, very far away. Earth's military attaché to the Galactic Federation, General Sarah Martinez, found herself suddenly very popular. Representatives from various species approached her quietly, asking about Earth's sniper program, about training exchanges, about the technology behind those shield-penetrating rounds. For years, you mocked us, she told a gathering of military officials. You said our focus on individual marksmanship was obsolete, that our snipers were relics of a primitive past. But you forgot something crucial. We evolved on a death world where precision and patience meant survival. While you developed overwhelming firepower, we developed overwhelming precision. She paused, letting her words sink in. The Ghost Legionnaire, who struck in the Kepler sector? He's not unique. He's one of hundreds in the program, each one capable of changing a battle with a single shot, each one trained to operate alone, unsupported, in any environment. But surely, protested a Rigelian admiral, your snipers can't stand against our fleet actions. Our orbital bombardments. Martinez smiled. You're right. In a stand-up fight, Earth's military would be overwhelmed. But that's not how we fight. While your fleets gather for massive engagements, our snipers would already be in position. Your admirals would fall before the battle began. Your key systems would fail at critical moments. Your morale would crumble as officers disappeared one by one, taken by an enemy you never saw. That's terrorism, someone shouted. No, Martinez replied coldly. That's warfare. The kind our species has been perfecting for millennia. You've forgotten what it means to fight an enemy who doesn't play by your rules, who doesn't care about your technological superiority. You've forgotten fear. The room fell silent. In the weeks that followed, several species quietly inquired about hiring human military advisors. The Galactic Command began developing new defensive strategies, new sensor systems designed to detect kinetic weapons. But they were playing catch-up to a species that had been refining this art for centuries. Meanwhile, Marcus Chen sat in a bar on a frontier world, his identity hidden, his rifle secured in his ship. He watched a news report about the ongoing corruption trials, about the mysterious sniper who had exposed the conspiracy. A Galactic Command officer at the next table was drunkenly boasting to his companions. "Energy shields can stop anything," he slurred. "We're invincible." "We're invincible," Chen smiled into his drink. "Let them think that." The ghost legionnaires were out there, watching, waiting. Earth had sent a message. But it was just the beginning. The mockery had stopped, replaced by something far more powerful. Uncertainty. Every Galactic Command officer now wondered if they were being watched. Every corrupt official worried about a mark appearing over their heart. Every enemy of Earth had to consider whether their next decision might attract the attention of a ghost. And somewhere in the void, more ghost legionnaires moved into position, their rifles ready, their patience infinite. The galaxy had learned to fear human snipers, but they hadn't yet learned the full extent of what that meant. 6 months after the Kepler incident, the galaxy faced its first real test of the new reality. The hegemony of Altair, an aggressive empire outside the Federation, had been emboldened by what they saw as weakness in the Galactic Command. After all, if a single human could cause such chaos, how strong could the Federation really be? The hegemony fleet, comprising over 200 warships, massed at the border. Their ultimatum was simple: cede 3 resource-rich systems, or face invasion. The Galactic Command assembled its own fleet, 500 ships strong, preparing for the kind of massive engagement they excelled at. But Earth had other plans. In a secure conference room aboard the Federation capital station, General Martinez met with the Galactic Command's highest leadership. Commander Zarthak was there, along with admirals and generals from a dozen species. The mockery from months ago was gone, replaced by wary respect. "Earth proposes a different solution," Martinez said, activating a holographic display. "Give us 72 hours before you engage. Let us demonstrate what human warfare really looks like." 72 hours? Admiral Korvax of the Centauri Republic scoffed. "The hegemony has hundreds of ships. What can your snipers do against a fleet?" Martinez smiled. "Not snipers, Admiral. Snipers were just the introduction. We'd like to show you the full symphony." Zarthak leaned forward. "What do you need?" "Nothing. Just time and your agreement to hold position. We'll handle the rest." The debate was fierce but brief. Curiosity won. The Galactic Command fleet would hold at the border, while Earth implemented its plan. Most expected failure. But they were willing to watch Earth embarrass itself one more time. They had no idea what was coming. Marcus Chen was one of 12 Ghost Legionnaires deployed for the operation, but they weren't alone. Earth had activated its entire unconventional warfare division. Ghost Legionnaires, Phantom Infiltrators, Spectre Hackers, and Wraith Saboteurs. Each group specialized in a different aspect of what Earth called asymmetric warfare. While the Galactic Command thought in terms of fleet movements and firepower calculations, Earth's military planners thought in terms of psychology, logistics, and critical vulnerabilities. The hegemony had hundreds of ships, but those ships needed fuel, ammunition, and most importantly, leadership. Chen's position was on a dead moon orbiting the hegemony's primary staging area. His mission was specific: eliminate Admiral Vrax, the hegemony's supreme commander, at the exact moment the operation began. But first, He had to wait for the other pieces to fall into place. The phantom infiltrators had been inserted weeks ago. These were humans trained in disguise, language, and cultural mimicry to such a degree that they could pass as members of other species. They had taken positions as maintenance workers, cargo handlers, and support staff throughout the hegemony fleet. The Spectre hackers operated from stealth ships hidden in hyperspace, their equipment designed to interface with alien technology through vulnerabilities that existed because no one had thought to defend against them. Why secure a system against intrusion when energy shields made physical access impossible? Except, human hackers didn't need physical access. They had developed ways to transmit data through the same frequencies that shields operated on. The Wraith saboteurs were perhaps the most frightening. These were humans who had volunteered for extensive genetic modification, allowing them to survive in environments that would kill normal humans. They could hibernate in the vacuum of space, withstand radiation that would cook most species, and operate for weeks without food or water. They had attached themselves to hegemony ships like barnacles, waiting. At exactly 0300 Galactic Standard Time, Earth's operation began. Chen watched through his scope as Admiral Vrax stood on the observation deck of his flagship, reviewing fleet positions. The Admiral was confident, protected by multiple redundant shield systems, surrounded by his elite guard. He was also exactly where Earth's intelligence had predicted he would be. The first sign of trouble came from the logistics fleet. Supply ships began reporting system failures, minor at first, then cascading. Fuel processors shut down. Ammunition factories went offline. Food synthesizers produced nothing but nutrient paste that smelled like rotting vegetation. The phantom infiltrators had done their work well. They hadn't destroyed anything that would have been noticed. Instead, they had made tiny adjustments. A decimal point moved in a fuel mixture calculation. A single line of code altered in manufacturing protocols. A timing sequence changed by fractions of a second. Each change was insignificant alone, but together they created a logistical nightmare. Admiral Vrax was receiving reports, his confidence wavering. A fleet needed supplies, and suddenly his were failing. He turned to his communications officer, about to order an investigation, when Chen fired. The round crossed the vacuum in seconds, a practically invisible projectile moving at speeds that turned space dust into plasma along its path. It struck Vrax's personal shield generator, the specially designed round not trying to penetrate but to overload. The generator sparked and died. Before Vrax's guards could react, Chen's second shot was already incoming. This one was different, a fragmenting round that split into dozens of micro-projectiles just before impact. Each fragment found a different target: guards, officers, critical bridge personnel. In seconds, the hegemony's command structure was decimated. But that was just the beginning. Across the hegemony fleet, similar scenes played out. Ghost Legionnaires eliminated key officers with surgical precision. Ships found themselves suddenly leaderless, their command structures in chaos. Junior officers tried to take charge, only to discover that their communication systems were compromised. The Spectre hackers had infiltrated the fleet's network, not to destroy it, but to redirect it. Orders were subtly changed. Navigation calculations were altered by tiny amounts, not enough to be noticed immediately, but enough to cause problems. Ships trying to maintain formation found themselves drifting apart. Weapons systems showed green lights while targeting solutions degraded. And then the Wraith saboteurs struck. They had waited on the hulls of hegemony ships like patient predators. Now they moved, using fusion cutters to slice through specific sections of armor. They weren't trying to destroy the ships. That would have taken too long. Instead, they targeted very specific systems: gravity generators, life support regulators, artificial intelligence cores. On the battleship Times Hegemony's Wrath *, the gravity suddenly reversed. Crew members found themselves pressed against ceilings, equipment floating freely. The chaos was total. On the cruiser Times Stellar Domination *, the life support system began producing pure oxygen, turning the ship into a fire hazard waiting to happen. The destroyer Times Conquest's Edge Times found its AI convinced that up was down, left was right, and enemy was friend. The hegemony fleet, moments before a organized invasion force, had become a collection of confused, leaderless ships dealing with cascading system failures, and through it all, not a single shot had been fired by Earth forces in open combat. The psychological impact was devastating. Hegemony crews, trained for conventional warfare, had no framework for understanding what was happening. Enemies they could see and fight, they understood. But this was ghosts in their machines, phantoms in their ranks, shadows picking off their leaders. Panic spread faster than any virus. Ships began breaking formation, some retreating, others sitting dead in space as their crews argued about what to do. The mighty invasion fleet had been reduced to chaos without a single major explosion, without the grand battle they had prepared for. Back at the Federation border, the Galactic Command Fleet watched in stunned amazement. Their sensors showed the Hegemony fleet in complete disarray, but they couldn't understand how. There were no energy signatures from major weapons, no debris fields from destroyed ships, just chaos. How? Admiral Korvax whispered. On the command station, General Martinez received a simple message: Symphony, complete. Hegemony, combat effectiveness, at 15%, and falling. She turned to the assembled leaders. Now you understand. Earth doesn't fight wars the way you do. We don't match strength against strength. We find the critical points: leadership, logistics, morale, and we break them. Your shields stop energy weapons, but they don't stop a precisely placed operative. Your armor resists plasma, but it doesn't protect against someone who's already inside. Your technology is superior, but it still needs people to operate it, and people can be broken. This is dishonorable, protested a Regellian general. This isn't warfare. It's effective, Zarthak finished quietly. It's devastatingly effective, Martinez nodded. The Hegemony fleet will withdraw within hours. They'll spend months trying to figure out what happened, checking every system, questioning every crew member. The paranoia alone will cripple their military effectiveness for years. And we did it with fewer than 100 human operatives. The implications were staggering. Every military force in the galaxy would have to reconsider their entire defensive strategy. How did you protect against enemies who could be anyone, strike from anywhere, and turn your own technology against you? In the following days, as the Hegemony fleet limped back to their space, details of Earth's operation began to emerge. The planning had taken months. Every operative had multiple backup plans. The coordination required had been extraordinary, with each element timed to support the others. But perhaps most impressive was the restraint. Earth could have destroyed the Hegemony fleet, could have killed thousands. Instead, they had demonstrated that they could render any military force combat ineffective without massive casualties. It was a warning and a promise. Earth preferred precision to massacre, but they could do either. The mockery of Earth's military capabilities didn't just stop. It reversed completely. Species that had laughed at human snipers now begged for training exchanges. The same commanders who had dismissed Earth's primitive focus on individual soldiers now recognized it as the foundation of a terrifyingly effective military doctrine. Earth's position in the Galactic Federation changed overnight. They were no longer the primitive newcomers to be patronized. They were the species that had looked at the galaxy's advanced warfare and found it wanting, then demonstrated a completely different paradigm that made traditional defenses almost useless. Marcus Chen returned to Earth for debriefing, one ghost among many. The Ghost Legionnaire program, once mocked, was now the most feared special operations force in the galaxy, but Chen knew this was just the beginning. In secure facilities across Earth, new programs were starting. If Ghost Legionnaires could change space warfare, what could other human specialties do? Earth's cyber warfare experts were studying alien computer systems. Human psychologists were analyzing alien psychology for influence operations. Even Earth's athletes were being recruited. If humans could push their bodies to extremes that other species couldn't match, how could that be weaponized? The Galactic Command had learned to stop mocking Earth's snipers, but they hadn't yet realized that snipers were just one note in humanity's orchestra of war. Each new revelation would bring fresh fear, fresh respect, and fresh understanding that humans had spent their entire evolution preparing for this. At a ceremony on the Federation Capital Station, General Martinez received the Galaxy Cross, the highest military honor the Federation could bestow. As she stood before the assembled dignitaries, she spoke words that would be remembered. You thought our snipers were primitive because we still used projectile weapons. You thought our focus on individual warriors was outdated because you had million-credit drones. But you forgot that before humans had any technology at all, we had learned to hunt. We had learned patience. We had learned that the most dangerous predator is the one you never see coming. She paused, looking at the faces of species that had once mocked Earth. Our snipers were never about the weapons. They were about the mindset. The willingness to wait days for one perfect shot. The ability to change everything with a single, precise action. That mindset, that patience, that precision. That willingness to do what others won't. That's what makes us dangerous. That's what makes us dangerous. The Ghost Legionnaires showed you what one human with a rifle can do. The hegemony learned what 100 humans with a plan can accomplish. Pray you never have to learn what our entire species is capable of when truly threatened. The ceremony ended in thoughtful silence. The galaxy had received its message, written in chaos and delivered by ghosts. Earth's military might not have the biggest ships or the most powerful weapons, but they had something far more dangerous. Humans who had turned warfare into an art form and who were only just beginning to show their masterpiece. In the years that followed, the term Ghost Legionnaire became synonymous with unstoppable precision. Military academies across the galaxy added human texts to their curriculum. Sun Tzu, Clausewitz, and the modern manuals of asymmetric warfare. The mockery had turned to study, the dismissal to desperate attempts to understand. But perhaps the most significant change was in how conflicts were resolved. The mere threat of human involvement often brought diplomatic solutions. After all, who wanted to face an enemy that could strike from 8,000 meters away, infiltrate your ranks undetected, turn your own technology against you, and do it all without you ever seeing them coming? The Galactic Command never mocked Earth's snipers again. They couldn't afford to. They were too busy watching the shadows, checking their shields, and wondering if somewhere out there, a Ghost Legionnaire had them in their sights. The ghosts had made their point. Earth had taken its place among the stars, not through technological superiority, but through the simple, terrifying effectiveness of human warfare, and the galaxy would never be the same.